A body discovered in rural Florida becomes a real-life whodunit.
There's a decomposing body in the ditch in front of my house.
Whoever killed this person wanted to put them in a place where it would be hard for law enforcement to discover exactly what had happened.
Until alibis begin to unravel.
How did she describe her evening with Jo'el?
They had very heated arguments. They would fight heavy and then make up heavy.
And the evidence reveals a deadly affair.
They noticed some injuries to his right hand.
He jumps into the back seat of that vehicle and deposits blood there.
It is a tragic love triangle.
Hi, I'm Nancy O'Dell. Today's Crime Exposé takes us to the rural area of Geneva, Florida, located in northeast Orlando. An unidentified body was discovered in a ditch, and it sent detectives on the trail of a gruesome killer. The investigation would ultimately uncover dark secrets, a botched attempt to destroy evidence, and a deadly love triangle.
It was a steamy August morning in Geneva, Florida, when a teenager walking with his dog came across a deceased body.
The juvenile discovered the body lying on the side of the road, and he notified his mother, who then talked to a neighbor, and the neighbor was the one who actually called 911.
911, police, fire, medical. What's going on?
There's a decomposing body in the ditch.
The Seminole County Sheriff's Office arrived at the scene minutes later and immediately knew this would be a tough case to solve.
The body that the young man stumbled upon had no clothing on whatsoever. There was no identifying information, no Florida driver's license, no credit cards, nothing in any way to say who he was or why he was there in that ditch.
The condition of the body suggested the victim had been there for some time.
He was a medium-built, pre-middle-aged black male, beginning stages of decomposition.
There were some injuries to the upper body, to the head, to the neck, to the upper torso.
Given the apparent injuries, there was no visible blood in the area surrounding the body.
It was pretty apparent early on that this wasn't where the victim was murdered.
The victim was taken to the medical examiner's office, where they determined he had been stabbed to death.
So the victim in this case sustained upwards of 45 separate sharp force injuries from a single-bladed edged weapon.
Fingerprint analysis helped investigators identify their John Doe.
The victim was positively identified as Jo'el Cosby, a 31-year-old male from the Sanford area. His body was found just under 8 miles east of where he lived in Sanford.
He was from the city. This was true Florida country. I mean, you're talking dirt roads, alligators, snakes. He wasn't the type to be out in this area. Whoever killed this person wanted to put them in a place where it would be hard for law enforcement to discover exactly what had happened. I mean, that's why somebody dumps a body out in the middle of nowhere, is it gives them more time to either take flight or to take other measures to try to clean up.
Investigators felt they had to act fast to catch the killer.
So law enforcement didn't have a lot to go on, and they also knew they were fighting the clock, because if this person was willing to dump the body out in such a remote location to obstruct an investigation, you know they're going to do many, many other things to obstruct the investigation as well.
The mysterious death of 31-year-old Jo'el Cosby devastated his family. He was a beloved son and father, and the community mourned his loss.
Jo'el Cosby was a young man. He did have a young child. He was described by his family as being very loving, very caring, soft-mannered. He was described as having a great sense of humor as well by some of his family members.
The single father worked at a local car dealership, detailing cars, and he counted his blessings by the number of friends and family members he had.
It was clear from his passing that the family was very, very affected. This was a close-knit family, and he had many, many friends. If you could measure the character of somebody by the number of friends that they have, then Jo'el certainly had a good character.
Investigators turned to his family for any insight into his horrible death.
We need to rebuild the last hours of this person's alive to discover who he was around, who could have killed him, and even if the last person he's with wasn't the person that killed him, maybe they can point them in the right direction.
They had very heated arguments. They would fight heavy and then make up heavy.
The mysterious death of 31-year-old Jo'el Cosby devastated his family. Jo'el was last seen alive on Sunday, August the 9th.
So Jo'el was spending some time hanging out with some friends and seeing some different family members. He saw his mother, an uncle, and some different people and going between different houses.
Jo'el had also been seen with an on-again, off-again girlfriend his family had met before.
There was an ex-girlfriend who he had a history with. Her name was Jaide Caporale. She came to Sanford to meet up with Jo'el, and he spent the remainder of his evening with her.
Family members did not have positive things to say about Jaide.
This was a very volatile relationship. Two people who probably should not have been together.
They had very heated arguments. They would fight heavy and then make up heavy.
Jo'el's uncle recalls seeing Jo'el and Jaide between 11 and 11:30 p.m. before he vanished.
And the two were seen in a white Dodge Charger. They were actually seen arguing. Jo'el's uncle unfortunately couldn't hear what they were arguing about, but was able to observe them in the vehicle, observe their mannerisms, and heard raised voices coming from the vehicle.
Jaide Caporale lived in Deltona, Florida, roughly 15 miles north from Jo'el's home in Sanford.
Jaide lived with her current boyfriend at the time of the incident. It's in Deltona.
The 30-year-old mother was questioned several times by police.
How does she describe her evening with Jo'el?
So Jaide advised the detectives in the beginning that she went to Sanford, she met up with Jo'el, they hung out for a little bit, and they argued about the previous night where Jaide had spent majority of the evening with Jo'el. However, she refused to stay the night, and she ended up leaving in the early morning hours. And supposedly that angered Jo'el to cause their next argument for the better portion of the afternoon into the evening.
According to Jaide, the tension increased as the day progressed.
She said she drove around with Jo'el for a little bit. She basically dropped him off back at his mother's house, and she left and went back home. And that was roughly around midnight of the night. And then she didn't see or speak to him again after that.
Investigators felt Jaide was not being honest.
While she was cooperative in some ways during the interview, she agreed to let them do a forensic download of her cell phone, and she willingly answered questions. She was certainly not being entirely truthful with law enforcement.
Detectives questioned her about the white Dodge Charger she was driving.
Jaide provided information that the Dodge Charger was rented by the father of her children, Marvin Bryant, and that the car had been returned to Marvin on the 10th.
But investigators learned the Dodge Charger had been returned to the rental company that morning, not to her boyfriend, Marvin Bryant. The more investigators spoke with Jaide, the more her story began to unravel.
Her alibi was simply that she went home and went to bed, and that was the end of it for her. The problem was, at that point, law enforcement had already started to get phone records, which showed the phone's movement, and they knew she hadn't just gone to bed that evening.
In fact, her phone's GPS showed her moving well past midnight.
They knew that the phone had continued to move into Seminole County. And another piece of information that she provided that wasn't accurate is that Marvin Bryant lived in Seminole County, not that he lived with her in Deltona. So again, it was small details that she was clearly lying about or being inconsistent with what law enforcement knew to be true.
When she realized that the questions were getting a little too close to home for her liking, and she realized she had to backtrack and change her story several times when they were talking to her. But the detectives were able to then secure a search warrant and conduct a full forensic extraction of her cellular phone.
And that wasn't all. Detectives also obtained a search warrant for the home she shared with her current boyfriend, Marvin Bryant.
Was Marvin Bryant aware that Jaide was also seeing Jo'el?
Marvin acknowledged who Jo'el was, acknowledged that he had some type of relationship with Jaide and he was aware of it, but not that he knew him personally. But you could tell even in the interview that there was a bit of jealousy associated with that. When they executed that search warrant for his DNA, they noticed some injuries to his right hand.
Investigators learned Jo'el Cosby was last seen alive in a Dodge Charger driven by Jaide Caporale. And when they learned Caporale had later driven the car to the home she shared with Marvin Bryant, the two found themselves in the crosshairs of the murder investigation.
So detectives learned very early on that Marvin Bryant was not only living with Jaide, but he was her new boyfriend.
Were Bryant and Caporale in an open relationship?
I think if you asked Jaide Caporale at the time, they weren't romantically involved at the time of the homicide. I think if you asked Marvin at the time, there was more of a romantic relationship going on. Jaide certainly made it sound like she was simply supporting Marvin. Marvin had a problem with alcohol, was supporting really him and the whole family, and that he was around because he was the father of her children.
Investigators weren't quite sure what to make of 36-year-old Marvin Bryant.
Mr. Bryant really didn't help himself when he came voluntarily to the police department in the days following Jaide's interview, because he showed up before they even opened early one morning and said, "I'm Marvin Bryant, I'm the prime suspect in a murder investigation." That doesn't happen very often in our world.
Investigators also learned he had reported a vehicle stolen on August the 11th, just 2 days after Cosby was seen alive.
The 1996 Mustang owned by Marvin Bryant, so not something that he rented. The sheriffs interviewed him, took a sworn stolen vehicle affidavit from him, and put it into the system as being a stolen vehicle. The problem was when Marvin came in and gave his account of where he was on the 9th into the 10th, that wasn't consistent with his sworn police report that the vehicle had been stolen.
Bryant was now claiming he had lent the car to a friend.
So that was obviously a red flag that was pointing towards some type of involvement with Marvin.
Investigators conducted a search warrant of the home Bryant and Caporale shared and were able to obtain a DNA sample from both of them.
When they executed that search warrant for his DNA, they noticed some injuries to his right hand. He had injuries which could be consistent with a knife slipping in his hand. There was a slicing type injury. There was in some level of healing. At that point, it had been about 2 weeks since the homicide, but it was consistent with being a couple weeks old.
Investigators were also able to obtain Bryant's cell phone records.
His travel throughout that evening was lockstep with Jaide's travel. We had both of their vehicles traveling from Deltona into Sanford. Both of their phones actually hit in the area where the victim's body was dumped. We tracked all of their whereabouts back into Volusia County and eventually meeting back up to their house on Farmington Ave in Deltona.
Police say Bryant and Caporale then headed to Walmart together.
From there, they actually went to a local Walmart in Orange City, Florida, and started purchasing cleaning products.
Law enforcement responded to the Walmart and were able to recover video surveillance of both Marvin and Jaide in the early morning hours on the 10th, buying bleach, buying carpet cleaner, buying glass cleaner, buying deodorizer for car carpets. A lot of things that people don't normally buy before 8 a.m. on a weekday.
After Walmart, investigators say the phones were tracked to an Enterprise rental car location where the Dodge Charger Jaide had been driving was returned.
The Dodge Charger was returned early that morning before 11 a.m. Marvin had the vehicle for several more days, if not a week, that he was planning on renting the car.
Once again, Bryant lied to police.
Law enforcement was able to tow the vehicle to the Seminole County Sheriff's Office, and it was processed. And it appears as if there was blood both in the front passenger seat and the rear passenger seat of the vehicle, and DNA was identified belonging to Jo'el Cosby in that white Dodge Charger in the back seat.
As for Bryant's Ford Mustang, investigators didn't have to look very hard.
Marvin Bryant's Ford Mustang was located in the woods in Lake County, Florida, which is just north of Volusia County. And the Mustang was found completely and totally burnt. To a crisp. So burnt that the metal was melting. There was no way to recover any type of forensic or DNA or fingerprints. So they found that vehicle, which was, again, suspicious. There's no way to say 100% that Marvin Bryant took it up there and burnt it, but more likely than not, that's what he did.
Investigators had amassed significant circumstantial evidence against Jaide Caporale and Marvin Bryant, but it was not enough to arrest either one of them.
Circumstantial evidence alone isn't always going to get you there to be able to charge somebody. An associate of Jaide came forward and said that Jaide had disclosed some information to him during a trip to the beach several days after this incident occurred.
During that conversation, Jaide had described what unfolded after she drove Jo'el to her home.
the victim was basically ambushed and attacked by Marvin when Jaide brought the victim to her house. Marvin laying in wait, and the victim didn't really have a chance to react and defend himself. With that information that she provided that witness, coupled with the rest of the circumstantial evidence that we had at that time, we were able to secure arrest warrants.
Go ahead and step out for me, Jaide.
3 months after the murder, Jaide Caporale and Marvin Bryant were arrested and charged with first-degree murder.
You Marvin?
Yeah.
All right.
What am I being arrested for?
Jaide chose 2 or 3 years after she was charged and indicted with first-degree murder to at least have a conversation with the state of Florida.
And law enforcement says she did not downplay her role in the crime.
She told law enforcement about there being a significant argument between her and Jo'el.
They were hanging out, and Jo'el had said some things to her that angered her. She had said some things to him that angered him. And at the time, Marvin had said some things to Jaide about Jo'el. So Jo'el basically was like, well, if he wants to meet up, he's like, I'll meet up with him.
So Jaide had let Marvin know that she was coming with Jo'el in the car, and when she pulled in, Marvin was there in the driveway. She expected some type of physical fight or physical confrontation to occur because of the situation, but not to the extent that she thought Jo'el was going to be stabbed.
Jaide's version of events explained the unusual location of the forensic evidence discovered in the Charger's backseat.
Marvin attacked Jo'el when Jo'el was sitting in the passenger seat of that white Dodge Charger. And as he's attacking him, blood is getting shed. Jo'el, as a last minute of desperation, tries to get away. He jumps into the back seat of that vehicle and deposits blood there.
She insisted she had no idea Marvin Bryant had a knife.
Marvin was just on top of him, hitting him more. And then she saw that there was a mass amount of blood in the driveway next to the road, and Marvin actually drugged the victim. And he's probably lifeless at this point. Before Jaide could really even process what was taking place, Marvin's needing her to help him load the victim up into his Mustang.
Investigators had explained why Bryant would want to set his Mustang on fire.
They used the Mustang to transport the victim's body from where he was essentially stabbed and killed at the house of Jaide and Marvin. He was transported from there to Geneva, where he was dumped on the side of the road. Marvin made the decision to just burn the vehicle to dispose of the evidence. The rental car, they knew they had to return it or they'd be on the hook for that rental car. So that's what spurred them to go to the store and buy those cleaning products.
Jaide Caporale expressed deep regret for her actions and testified against Bryant.
She was remorseful when she testified at trial. I do believe because she knew Jo'el and did know his family, she felt a lot of guilt about her involvement in this. I think it was the combination of the jealousy in this love triangle and also Marvin's substance abuse that caused him to make some really, really bad decisions that sadly left a young man dead and a parentless child in this case. It is a tragic love triangle.
Jaide Caporale's cooperation with the state of Florida earned her a reduced charge of second-degree murder. She pled guilty and was given the maximum sentence agreed to in her plea deal of 35 years. And now, it's time for today's Safety Spotlight. Relationships marked by extreme jealousy, volatile arguments, infidelity, or substance abuse are red flags that indicate tensions could escalate towards violence, or in this case, murder. If you have a contentious relationship with someone, whether an ex or rival, avoid meeting with them alone, in a residence, or in a car, as there is limited opportunity for self-defense and escape. And whenever possible, avoid engaging the person in a verbal argument or a physical confrontation. Relationships are often complex. Sometimes the best way to stay safe is to distance yourself from those who might wish you harm. I'm Nancy O'Dell. For all of us here at Crime Exposé, please join us next time and stay safe.